What's up, everybody? Matt Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of news to go over here this week, and the first story here is about something that's been requested a lot recently, and that is about an automatic version of the Veloster N. So there's been some rumors in the past about the Veloster N getting the dual clutch auto that was under development by Hyundai, and is the same transmission that was in the Sonata N line that I did a quick drive video on last fall. And so it sounds like that is going to be coming here to the Veloster N. We have our first solid confirmation that the Veloster N is going to be actually getting this transmission. So Korean car blog, they've really been on the cutting edge of all the Hyundai and Kia news recently. They actually spotted a Veloster N with an automatic shifter that looked pretty production ready, and I will link that in the description below if you'd like to see it. But basically it's an automatic shifter like other Hyundais, but with the N logo on it. And so anyway, their report claims it's going to be officially revealed in April, and so we should only have a few more weeks to wait for that. But according to the report, don't worry, the manual transmission will still be available. This dual clutch auto is just going to be added in addition to it. It's an 8-speed wet clutch dual clutch automatic, and worked really well in the N line whenever I drove that. But anyway, so that's a great addition. There's also a little rumor that I guess overseas the N models are going to be getting a 5 horsepower bump, so that could happen here in the States too, with the Veloster N getting a bump of 5 horsepower to 280 now for the performance pack version of that. So yeah, hopefully though, it's good news for the Veloster N, especially with the dual clutch auto. Hopefully will help expand sales. I mean, all you have to do is look at like Volkswagen GTI sales and see how many people go for the DSG over the stick, and that'll give you, hopefully some guidance as far as how popular this will probably be for the Veloster N. Hopefully help those sell a lot better. For some official Hyundai news this week, they revealed the 2021 Elantra, and I have to say it looks quite striking. It's on a totally new platform. The exterior, though, has, I think, more creases and wrinkles than my laundry does currently, but otherwise I think it looks very distinctive with all those creases. It's 2 inches longer. It's got a wheelbase that's about 1 inch longer. It's also about 1 inch wider and 1 inch lower. So kind of a similar change to what you see on the new Sonata versus the old one. The interior also gets a screen setup similar to Mercedes, actually, with these two 10.25 inch displays under a single bezel. You can also, on the cheaper versions, you'll see there is a smaller screen with volume knobs and all that kind of stuff versus the widescreen display. So you're going to have 2 different setups there depending on how nice of an Elantra you get. The other tech stuff here is that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are now wireless, or at least they're available to be wireless. Also, the digital key from the Sonata is going to be available as well here in the Elantra. The standard engine is going to be a carryover 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that does 147 horsepower and 132 pound-feet of torque and runs through a CVT. The other new option though now is a new hybrid version, and so this runs a 1.6-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, and then also combines that with a 43 horsepower electric motor for a total output of 139 horsepower but 195 pound-feet of torque. And that is the big takeaway, because you have over 60 more pound-feet of torque than the standard Elantra, so this should feel a lot punchier than the regular version. Even though you have 8 less horsepower potentially, don't let the horsepower mislead you, that torque is what's going to feel a lot punchier. It also runs through a 6-speed dual clutch automatic, so a little bit of a different setup than competition, like the Corolla hybrid runs a CVT, and I think also the Honda Insight does as well. So this is a little bit different, having a real transmission here. And then they also are going to be claiming class-leading fuel economy for the regular version of the Elantra, and they're aiming for 50 mpg combined for the hybrid. For the suspension, the gas models get a torsion beam rear, but the hybrids actually get an independent rear suspension. So another reason to go for the hybrid: you get more power, better fuel economy, and also probably slightly better handling, although it'll be a little bit heavier. I think the battery's less than 2 kilowatt hours though, so pretty small, shouldn't be too heavy for that. But anyway, they're going to start arriving in September if all goes according to plan, with of course all the craziness going on currently, but September is the planned launch. We don't have any more Elantra Sports coming, it doesn't seem like, but there's solid reports now that an N-line version will take the place of the Sport in the Elantra lineup, and that N-line will still use the Elantra Sport's 201 horsepower 2-liter 4-cylinder. That's the rumor, at least for right now. So There's that. But then Korean Car Blog is also reporting that the Elantra will be getting a full-blown N model as well, and it's going to be using the same setup as the Veloster N, so same motor, same option, probably of manual or that dual clutch automatic. And not sure how soon those are going to be arriving, though. We just have the normal Elantra here currently, but I'm sure that'll be coming in the not too distant future if they can use a lot of the parts from the Veloster and stuff. But cool to see that. Motor One has discovered an interesting story this week, and that is that Subaru of Germany has announced a BRZ Final Edition. And this is the first time we've heard about any kind of Final Edition or end for the BRZ or the 86 officially. And so for this German version, only 100 are going to be made. And basically it's the same as our performance package we get here in the States with all those performance upgrades. And then it's initially going to have like blue stitching and a badge on the interior. And that's basically it. So not much of a special edition package. It sounds like they kind of phoned that one in. But it's just interesting that this is called the Final Edition. So at least in Germany, the BRZ sounds like it's going to be going away, at least obviously for this current gen version. We do know that both Subaru and Toyota have confirmed a second gen version is in the works. I'm not sure how soon that'll happen. There's been various rumors of it, using the Ascents motor, the 2.4 liter, either turbocharged or non-turbo. Rumors go back and forth on that. I'm just not sure when we'll see this. I don't know if there will be a lull where there will not be a BRZ or 86 on sale, or if these ones kind of starting to go on the way out, if that'll maybe usher in the new generation shortly thereafter. So maybe the next gen version is coming next year. Maybe we have a few more years to wait. Who knows with Subaru? They are so good at keeping secrets. I mean, we have no clue when the new WRX is coming, when the new STI is coming. No idea about the new BRZ. No one's seen any spy photos of any of these things running around. So who knows what's going on as far as performance Subarus. But hopefully we'll get something here sometime soon. Although with the current climate, I'm sure we're not going to be seeing any reveals anytime soon. That's for sure. Don't want to talk about the virus too much, but I also wanted to share news that all GM, Ford, FCA, and Honda plants in North America have all closed as of this week, and they're shut down until at least March 30th. But by the looks of the way everything's going, they'll most likely be closed even longer than that. And so obviously it's important to keep people safe. But this is really going to mess up a bunch of production plans for other models, launching here over the next few months. And for example, GM has closed all new orders for the 2020 Corvette. Now they claim it's because of high demand, which is probably something that we expected that they'd be fully booked up on orders by now for the 2020 Corvette anyway. So there's some of that going on, but it also is just obviously undeniable that you're closing the plant just 2 months or so after they started production of the 2020 Corvettes. Depending on how long the plant's closed for, you might completely miss the rest of the 2020 model year. I mean, it's just, we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, so they're saying that because of this, many 2020 orders that have already been submitted but haven't been built yet, some of those could be pushed back to 2021 models. And Chevy did say they're going to be reopening Corvette ordering in late May for 2021 models. And I guess that's a little earlier than they were planning. So they're trying to, help out those people that got bumped and, get their 2021 model orders in earlier. But yeah, so this means that 2020 Corvettes could be fairly rare. Again, we'll have to see how long this plant shuts down for. But even stuff like the Shelby GT500, they only started production of those a few months ago. And, there's not going to be a ton of them out there. They're planning on building them all this spring, and now they can't. So we'll have to see. Those might be a little bit more rare, and it also could potentially curtail the amount of bullets they were planning for the 2020 model year. So the final amount of bullets might be less than we originally were expecting. And it even could delay the rollout of the 2021 Mustang refresh, which has been rumored, and potential Mach 1 and stuff that's been rumored as well. So we'll have to see, again, how long this goes on for. But at least for those, that have ordered 2020 Corvettes or GT500, stuff like that, you might be disappointed with later delivery date than originally planned. But moving on from the virus news, Chevy has also revealed the refreshed 2021 Traverse this week, and so it gets this slightly more aggressive styling that reminds me of the Blazer a good bit. It gets LED headlights and taillights as standard now. The interior gets a new 8-inch touchscreen and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto now. There's also partially digital gauges from the Blazer that migrate over here, and still is the same mechanically, meaning a V6 combined with 9-speed auto, and they say these are going to be on sale late this year. So nice improvements there, but I don't think it's going to be threatening the Kia Telluride or anything like that with sales. So, but a nice improvement nonetheless. And GM Authority this week has shared 2 pictures that leaked out of this new Buick SUV that's rumored to be called the Envision S or Envision GX. So it would be based on the same platform as the Cadillac XT4, although it does look to be a little bit bigger than the XT4, but it would run the same engine as that SUV, and it looks good so far, but I don't understand this model structure at Buick. You know, like first they had the Encore and then the Encore GX now, and they're selling them both side by side, and I think according to this report from GM Authority, they're going to do the same thing with this Envision, where they're going to have the old Envision and then have this new Envision GX. It seems so confusing for shoppers. Like, you're selling the old one, yeah, it's going to be a little bit cheaper, but then, like, you know, why would you sell old and new models side by side? Like, that very rarely is done these days. But anyway, that seems to be the plan here. But it looks good otherwise. We'll just have to see, you know, how that actually works out, I guess, for Buick. But interesting nonetheless. A company that does know how to pick good names for their vehicles, though, FCA, they appear to be considering a new name that's also awesome. So Motor Trend discovered 2 trademark applications by FCA for the Hornet and Dodge Hornet names. And so most recently, the Dodge Hornet was a concept car that was revealed in 2006. There was this cool looking hatchback, and something along those lines could make a return, possibly a little more off-road looking though, to pass as a crossover, since a tall hatchback probably wouldn't sell too well these days. But it's possible that, you know, since we've been hearing reports the past few months about Dodge working on a Journey replacement, you know, it sounds like this could potentially, the way the timing's working out, you know, this could be the name used for the Journey replacement, potentially. There's also, it could just be like something like a Hyundai Kona competitor or something like that, if they keep with the same kind of dimensions that the Dodge Hornet concept car was. And so we'll have to see, but whatever it's used for, it's a cool name, and hopefully the product they use it on is cool as well. So we'll have to wait and see. It's also possible they'll never use the name. There's lots of trademarks that get filed and never get used. So we'll just have to wait and see what develops there. But I heard they were trying to probably get rid of the Journey name, and so Hornet could make it a little more aggressive and fit in line with all the other more aggressive Dodge products these days. So we'll have to see. For those hoping for a Bronco reveal this week, it was originally planned to be this week. It has been postponed again because of the virus. Not sure why they couldn't do an online reveal like Hyundai just did for the Elantra. But, you know, they want all their employees to work from home, and so I guess for some reason that means they can't dump pictures and a press release online. I guess they probably aren't in a hurry either, since the Bronco probably won't be ready to go on sale until late this year. So they have time, so there's no rush, I guess. But Ford did tell Autoblog that Ford vehicle launches have not been impacted so far, so even if the reveal is delayed, hopefully the actual vehicles won't be. So we'll have to see. And they also mentioned Bronco and F-150. So I guess the F-150 launch is coming pretty quickly as well for that full next-gen version. So that was kind of an interesting little tidbit there. So we'll have to see. Again, hopefully the Bronco gets revealed soon. But at this point, who knows what to expect. Volkswagen, though, has teased their new Amarok truck that we won't be getting in the US here. But what's notable about them starting to tease the Amarok is that this is the truck that's being built using the Volkswagen and Ford alliance, where Volkswagen gets this truck and Ford does the new Ranger with this platform. And so if the Amarok's expected to be revealed soon, then it sounds like, you know, maybe Ford could potentially be ready with a new Ranger sometime. Now, I heard it's going to be maybe like a 2022 model year vehicle, so maybe it'll be revealed next year for the Ranger, but just kind of weird that Volkswagen gets like a year early jump on this over Ford. But I mean, Ford is booked up with launches, it sounds like, here for the next at least several months. You know, you got Bronco Sport, F-150 all needing to be revealed officially still. And also there's possibilities of a refreshed Mustang that's been spied in the past. So maybe late 2020 for Ranger at the earliest. We'll have to wait and see. But interesting to see that Volkswagen looks pretty cool, and I wish they'd sell it here. I think that'd be cool as well. Bentley's CEO talked with Top Gear, Car Magazine, and Car and Driver Magazine over the past few weeks about a new high-end SUV that they're strongly considering to slot above the Bentayga. So this new model would be made instead of the new Mulsanne, because people were wondering, you know, what's going to happen with the Mulsanne. It's the CEO says it's just a shrinking business for big sedans of that price. They already have the new Flying Spur, which kind of can fill that gap, even though it is cheaper than the Mulsanne was and not quite as big, I guess. But they say the demand is higher for SUVs, obviously, and with the success of the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, I think they want to get something in that price segment. And, I think there's strong demand there, clearly, because the Cullinan has sold so well. And the Bentayga doesn't really compete with the Cullinan officially because it's about $100,000 cheaper, which is a big gap, and so I think, and it's also a little bit smaller than the Cullinan, so it doesn't seem to compete head on. So the CEO told Car Magazine, if we did a longer wheelbase Bentayga, every single one of those Mulsanne customers in China would take that instead. And he continued by telling them, we are not fulfilling the potential of the brand where we are, and concluded by saying, we'd love to make an even more luxurious, even bigger Bentayga. Watch this space. So clearly, it makes a lot of sense. Make a massive SUV. It would be cool if they even did something 3 rows that would even compete and be a little bit beyond what Rolls-Royce offers and could kind of compete with the Maybach GLS that's coming and stuff. So that'd be cool if they made it really big, made it 3 rows as an option, or just a very large second row kind of deal. We'll have to see, but that certainly makes sense for Bentley. Totally makes sense. I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner, and so interesting to hear that. Land Rover is also looking to add some SUVs here. So Australian website Which Car is reporting that Land Rover is developing a new platform for smaller models that will be basically using a shortened version of the Defender's platform on the new Defender. And so according to the report, one of these new SUVs is going to have styling similar to the Defender, but just be smaller, and is designed to compete with stuff like a Jeep Renegade or that new Bronco Sport, which also looks very much like the Defender already. So you'll basically have the cheaper Ford version and the slightly more luxurious Land Rover version of something that should look very similar. And so there's that. There's also going to be another less boxy model that's supposedly being worked on that's going to compete with the Mercedes GLA. I would think something like a GLB competitor would make more sense, but apparently they're going for something really small and also competing against like the Audi Q2, which we don't even get here in the States because it's so small. So that is another thing they're working on. I'm guessing will look more like a shrunken down version of the Evoque, which is already pretty small, and a shrunken down version of like the Velar. So getting really tiny for these little Land Rovers. But I guess they're just trying to increase the affordability of the Land Rover brand and expand, and that's probably the best way to do it. There's also rumors that Jaguar could get a variant of these, although the E-Pace is already pretty small, but there's been talks of them wanting to do something even smaller as well to, again, bring that affordability down. But I think bringing the affordability down kind of takes away some of the allure of these higher luxury brands. If they're all selling $30,000 vehicles, it's not as impressive anymore. So we'll have to see. And there's also rumors there's going to be a larger and more luxurious Defender to compete more directly with the Mercedes G-Wagon. I think that makes more sense to take it up market and compete with that kind of stuff, but obviously there's not a ton of sales there. So, I can see both things making sense. But anyway, an interesting report there nonetheless. And the last news story this week comes from Autocar. They're reporting that Lotus is working on a new hybrid sports car to be positioned above the Evora and be a successor to the Esprit in some ways. So according to the sources that talk to Autocar here, the new car would be more usable and refined than the Evora. It would ride on a modified Evora platform, but still be mid-engined and be a hybrid and look more like the Avaya electric hypercar. And so that should give it some great styling. It'll still use a Toyota V6 like the Evora, which is encouraging, but it will actually be using electric motors from Volvo, with horsepower being likely over 500 horsepower, they're saying in this report. So that sounds pretty cool, honestly. Think of like, the T8 platform that Volvo uses, but instead of using the supercharged and turboed 4-cylinder that Volvo uses, using a Toyota V6 that's naturally aspirated combined with that electric boost from the Volvo system. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. That would be very sweet. And those Toyota V6s and the Lotuses actually sound really good, too. So that would be a very cool combo. It's great now with Volvo kind of, being part of the equation for Lotus, with Geely owning both of them. And so anyway, the car is supposed to keep Lotus fresh until their new Volvo-based Porsche Macan Fighting SUV arrives, as well as the other new planned sports cars that will be on a totally new platform and be something totally different. But, for something that's just a modified Evora that's, got totally different bodywork and, a hybrid powertrain, that still sounds very, very promising. And hopefully Lotus can make it happen in all their future plans with this new Geely backing and get back back to doing some awesome stuff here, because that sounds like a great recipe. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.